Joy Meets World. I am your host, Joy Yugi, and on this podcast, I am talking about my travels around the U.S., visiting our national parks with my dog, Quincy. And today, I get to tell you about my adventure in Theodore Roosevelt National Park in North Dakota. So, the last place I was at was in Wall, South Dakota, and I hiked the Badlands National Park, which is right there. So from Wall, I traveled to Williston, North Dakota, which is about a 6-hour drive, 380 miles. Pretty easy for a long drive because it was just across prairie. So flat, not a ton of cars. So I was able to use cruise control, which always makes it easier. Williston, there's a lot of fracking that goes on around Williston, so that was pretty evident. It's also the home of Phil Jackson, who was the coach of the Chicago Bulls when they had, Michael Jackson, Scottie Pippen, Dennis Rodman. So his hometown is Williston, North Dakota, and they're super proud of that. The Airbnb that I stayed at was right on the Missouri River. So it had this beautiful back porch, and you could, with this beautiful breeze off the river, and you could just sit there and look at the river and then the prairie beyond. It was idyllic. The Airbnb itself was strange. It made me slightly uncomfortable just in the fact that most Airbnbs are like a hotel room. You come in and it's a dedicated guest suite, right? There's nothing there, and it's very clean, and it's just your own space. This Airbnb seemed to me more like house sitting. Like somebody actually lives here and you're coming in to their space, and it's not like a dedicated you space or dedicated guest space. It's like you're staying in their house. And I think it was just uncomfortable because that's how it's just not normally like that. And it's just kind of strange to see, people's like family photos and their like junk drawer. And she had like strange porcelain dolls, and like there were clothes in the washer and dryer. So it was just odd, almost like somebody was going to walk into their home at any point and like you weren't supposed to be there. But nothing like that ever happened. Felt safe. It all turned out okay. It's just a little bit of a strange experience. Williston is an hour from Teddy Roosevelt National Park, the North Unit. And then it's about an hour, a little less than an hour from Lewis and Clark State Park, which I also got to see. I was supposed to go on a hike there, but I've been finding that All Trails, the app All Trails, will send me to a destination and have a hike mapped out, but it's not marked once I get there. So I really couldn't find the trail that I was supposed to be on. So I didn't end up doing a hike, but there was a jetty that went down to the beach on the Missouri River. And that's exactly what it was. I thought for a second before I looked at the map that it was a reservoir or a lake because that's how wide it was. And then I realized once I looked at the map that was actually the Missouri River. So it's very wide. A lot of people were out fishing. It was 75 degrees and sunny that day. So I just sunbathed. It was really lovely. A very cool state park, of course. Very cool piece of history to be involved with. Lewis and Clark. That part of history always fascinates me. So it's cool to go to that state park. Teddy Roosevelt National Park was founded or became a national park in 1978. And it was essentially made a national park in honor of the president after his death. And so obviously 1978 is a long time after his death, but they debated for a long time where they wanted the park to be and what they wanted it to be. Like, is it going to be a recreation area? Is it going to be a monument? And then it kind of got put on the back burner for a long time. And then it became a national monument, and then after a while became a national park. So that's kind of the the history of the park. This part of the world they finally chose this part of the world because this is where Teddy Roosevelt came before he became president. When his first wife died, he came out to North Dakota, to Medora, and he spent a lot of time in the Badlands hunting and ranching. He even eventually set up his own ranch, Elkhorn Ranch, which is a part of TR National Park. And that's why I would recommend, if you come to the park, to visit the South Unit. So the park is made up of the South and the North Unit. And they're about 4 hours apart, different parts of the state. And so you have to kind of visit one or the other, do one day and one another day type deal. So I would recommend, if you come, do the South Unit because there's more there. It's going to be like the visitor center is going to be open year round. There's lots to do in Medora. It's like an old West town. So I definitely recommend doing that. I actually went to the North Unit entrance just because it happened to be closest to where I was staying. And that unit is open. It's just kind of like a self-guided tour. So they're not, collecting fees, or the visitor center isn't open until June. From June to October, it's open. So it's one of the less frequented areas. The Painted Canyon, which is a really popular thing to see at TR National Park, is in the South Unit. So that's why I'd recommend going there. The North Unit is awesome too if you can swing it. So again, there's just a gorgeous view of the Missouri River framed by the Badlands. Just dreamy. And the weather was really nice. It was in the 70s, the low 70s, and sunny. So what a great day for a hike. What a great day for views. TR National Park is very similar to the Badlands in South Dakota to me, because it is Badlands and prairie. That's all it is. It's just the North Dakota Badlands. And I loved the Badlands. So I loved getting to see more of them. I actually hiked a 3-mile loop called the Prairie Dog Town Trail. And you can guess where it led to, probably a prairie dog town, which is essentially a huge area of flat prairie where the prairie dogs have just dug for miles and miles and miles. So it's almost like yellow, sandy dirt, right? Polka dots all over this huge plain. And you can just walk around and watch the prairie dogs, which I did for about half an hour. Took tons of videos and photos because I'm obsessed with the prairie dogs. They're so darn cute. I just think it's so fascinating. They're just so fascinating that they live on the prairie. They dig these holes. They live underground. They look to me like large chipmunks, but the coloring is totally different. It's like a sandy color instead of a chipmunk color, but they're really cool. A lot of them let me get up close to them. They chatter like squirrels. One was very angry at another prairie dog and was chattering like crazy, which I thought was just too funny. So I really enjoyed that trail, really enjoyed getting to see the prairie dog town. And on the way, there and back, I got to see buffalo who are just grazing on the prairie. On the drive out, I got to see some buffalo. Definitely go and watch my reel on Instagram because it includes all of that. So I love TR National Park. I would definitely recommend going. Williston is a cute little town. There's a coffee shop, Mega Latte. There's a brewery, Bare Knuckles Brewing, that's attached to a barbecue restaurant. Enjoyed that a ton. And after TR National Park, the next national park is all the way up in Minnesota, on the border with Canada, Voyagers National Park. So that's a 12-hour drive. At least, I think closer to 13. So I split it in half. So from Williston, I went to Fargo, North Dakota, which is essentially a little bit north, but mostly east, just straight east across the state. 6 hours, 390-ish miles. There's not much in Fargo. That is what I will say about it. It's home of North Dakota State University. The Airbnb is on campus. It's like in student housing, not like a dorm, not a dorm, but a bunch of apartments in one area that you can tell a lot of students live in. But it's a very modern, very clean apartment Airbnb. It rained the whole time I was here, super windy and gusty. So nothing to write home about for Fargo, North Dakota. But hopefully there will be more exciting news to share next episode of the podcast when I am in Minnesota visiting Voyagers National Park. Can't wait to tell you guys about that. Till then, follow me on Instagram. Subscribe to the podcast, rate and review the podcast. You can watch this on my YouTube channel. Just find Joy Yugi. If you'd rather watch than listen, go for it. It's on there for you. But till next time, I wish you happy travels wherever life is taking you.